Hey everyone, just waiting a few moments until everyone joins in. I can see quite a few participants. How's everyone been? Hope everyone's been well. If I'm sounding a bit rough, it's because I've actually watched the Socceroos, and for once I can be happy after the game. So it's good that we made it through. So that's really good news. But more importantly, in many respects, is this episode of the FAQ Hour. As always, I appreciate everyone joining in just to go through the new features that we've released. This one's actually become a little bit bigger than expected. The bullet points have expanded, so we've released a few things in the last couple of days alone. So I'll try to touch on those as well. So just give it a few moments. I'm also live streaming via Facebook. So if anyone wants to join in from there. And as always, feel free to ask any questions. I'll try to monitor those and answer those as I go along. For those of you that are new clients, appreciate the trust, as always, that you've put into Canibuild to use the platform. And for those of you that's joining every month or repeat or existing clients, I much appreciate the time that you take out to join our sessions. So on this one today, we'll be going through a few points. As per the email that got sent out, we'll be touching on the planning library, data layers, as well as the measuring tool, the anchor tool, touch on house and land packaging. But extending from that, there's been a few new developments, one particularly for Victoria, which is quite exciting. So I'll touch on that, as well as a few other bits and pieces that I'll try to rattle off as I sort of go through the presentation. So I'll give it a 5 or so more seconds, and then I'll sort of jump right into it. And as always, I genuinely appreciate everyone's time that they take out of their day to sort of jump on these sessions. And feel free to interrupt me as I go along with any questions. We can make this a little bit more dynamic as opposed to something well rehearsed. And anyone that knows me knows that it's not well rehearsed. But I do tend to go to my Hood Street address quite often. So without further ado, let me share my screen and run through those new features and those touch points, and let's go from there. And as always, we're recording the session, so we'll be uploading it to YouTube as well. So if anyone that's missed it, or you know of someone that has, you can always share that link or remind them to visit our YouTube channel. So let me share my screen and run through this episode. So give me one tick as I try to get a hold of my screen. Alrighty. So hopefully my screen is coming well through now. So let me just kick off. So basically, especially if you've logged in before and you've been using the platform for a while, you might notice a new icon on the right-hand side, which is this planning library book. So this feature has been developed in response to how many architects that are using the system, as well as a lot of builders and contractors for those of you in the US that's joining us, to get a better understanding as to the rules that are governing what Canibuild is applying. So if you do click on that planning library, what you'll find, if you click on it before you've drilled down to any address, you're basically getting access to the entire set of the planning library. So here it's covering all of Australia. Say, for example, you're interested in New South Wales, you can click on New South Wales. At the top, there's two groupings, state, territory, and local. So basically those rules and those documents that apply to the state or territory, or drill down to local. So if you click on local, you can see all the local rules and drill down to a council. So say, for example, you wanted to drill into Blacktown, you've got all the Blacktown documents. You can search by using a little magnifying glass, or you can just click on one and basically open that up and see what that document is. So in this case, that opened up a PDF. So if I share my full screen, you can see the random one I just clicked opened up that PDF. So it's a really nice way to be able to get to the DCP or the LEP or the relevant precinct plan or neighborhood plan or whatever it might be, to be able to get access to that straight away. So if you wanted to do that further drill down and get a bit of better understanding as to the rules and regulations, you can do that quite easily now. So if I jump back, and jump back to say New South Wales again, and go to, you can click on anything and then I'll just upload that. So in this case, Carter Street, you can understand what the requirements there. So in really quick order, we're able to do that. So let me just quickly share my Chrome again. So you've now got access to that information and you can start searching from, just typing things in as well and start filtering down to whatever you need to sort of get to. So that's been a really powerful addition to what Canibuild does. But more importantly, we've tried to make it, as we do always, is to make it a little bit simpler. So to do that, if you did drill down to an address, so let's go to an address that I'm sure none of you have ever seen before, which is our Hood Street address. If you click the planning library icon now, once you're in an address, say on the right-hand side, you've got that little planning library icon. If you click on that, basically what that will do is it will drill down to state and territory. But if you click on local, it's smart enough to know you're in Canterbury Bankstown. So again, it's just to speed up the ability to very quickly look or verify or confirm or see what's the underlying basis for the rules and regs, and be able to sort of open up those and sort of click on the link and then see what that is. So right now it's trying to download this PDF. And then we'll be able to see, okay, this is the strategic recreation plan. So again, for our architect clients, obviously this is of tremendous benefit, as with our certifier and town planners, and also for builders wanting to verify or confirm or drill in or provide further details to your clients. So this is something that our team will be updating quite regularly. Our team is using that themselves to be able to find the rules quickly as well. So basically we're using our own platform to assist ourselves in helping you guys. So hopefully that's of benefit. If there's any feedback on that or anything that you want to see changed or improved, like always, feel free to just reach out to us either through at support@canibuild.com or support, or feel free to sort of make a quick mention on this chat if anyone's been using it, and then we'll be able to go from there. So that's probably the planning library function. So I've covered that. The other things that I wanted to sort of touch on, and let me open up my little post-it note so I don't forget. So the next part that I wanted to touch on is our data layers. So let me just go to an address that might be a little bit more exciting with a few more data layers to sort of go through. So let me just find one that I know would have a lot of layers. Usually I'm able to find this a lot quicker than I am now. All right, so let's just click on this here. That's next to a few trees. All right, so I've picked a block of land, probably a bit larger than a normal standard block, but the point of this exercise is to be able to showcase how we can now show the actual layers that is affecting a site. So number one, on the left-hand side, you can see site info, but you can also see the tab affected. If you click affected, it will quickly show the affected layers. So acid sulfur, you can drill down and get a bit more information on that. Heritage, bushfire, environmentally sensitive land. But on top of that, and again, this is being requested by a lot of our architect clients, town planners, but also builders wanting to be able to show, what do you mean by bushfire, where, and what do you mean by acid sulfate? So on the right-hand side, you can see this little pancake of four squares representing layers. If you click on that, it will actually show you the layers that affect this block. So rather than typically the scenario where you just see all layers and then you have to select all the layers to see which one might affect your block, the system's smart enough to filter down to those layers that affect this particular block. So if there's nothing affecting, this will be blank. If there's one, there's one. If there's 10, there's 10. So now if I do click on heritage, for example, and put in the little tick, you can see that it's highlighting, and this actual site in its entirety is heritage listed. If I click on bushfire, it will load up the bushfire data layer. If I go to architectural mode, you can see that potentially a little bit clearer as well, and see those layers as they affect the site. You can also then, if I click on all the other ones, acid sulfate, you can see that acid sulfate is there close to the Georges River embankment. And then if I click on the last one, which was environmental overlay, you can see that as well. So again, I'm hoping that this is an easy way to start loading up the layers and seeing what affects what. So if I zoom into where I dropped in this, this property randomly, you can see that we're close to acid sulfate class 5, we're in the bushfire, we're also in bushfire and acid sulfate. That's where, so if you hover over, you can actually see the layers affecting that particular location. If I get out of that sort of shaded area, you can see that it's only being affected by acid sulfate. If I move in here, it's bushfire as well. So you can use that to now position your build exactly outside a particular area. This is more of for larger blocks of land, for example. So the acid sulfate might be just affecting the back corner, not the entire site. So now you can sort of showcase that layer, avoid it, place it, and sort of show the client, look, this is why we suggest to put it here, because it'll be more cost effective, or it will even be possible because the chances that we can build it in this light blue area is 0. So hopefully that gives some context. And it's also, from a sales tool perspective, a nice way to do it, because you can actually build up trust and show those data layers straight away. And then obviously if you deselect, you're basically hiding them again. So I think that's quite good. The other features that we've done is when you hover up from the site, and again, the data layers, just to prove the point before I jump to another point, if I jump to, say, this address here, again, we've picked a random block, something more appropriate for, say, a house or a granny flat. It's only affected by acid sulfate. So you can see I've just moved across close by. If I click the data layers, it's basically only showing acid sulfate. If I click on acid sulfate, we can see the layer as it affects that site. I hope that makes sense. So now we're able to very quickly see, okay, this is affecting. If I pick another site here, for example, we can see that it's only, half the pool is there, as an example. So I'm hoping this is, again, something that can help you in your sales process, also in terms of your feasibility, and be able to see what affects what. So let me just quickly jump back. The other point that I wanted to quickly show is, and this is just a relatively minor improvement, but important all the same. So let's just say we pick the granny flat here. Let me just take that layer off so we can see what we're doing. So let's just say we put a granny flat there. The nice thing about this now, and this is particularly relevant for our shed and garage clients, if you start zooming up, you're able to see this proposed granny flat. So you don't lose where you are in the world, so you're able to find it. And on larger blocks of land, it provides you a longitude and latitude. So you're able to, because there's no point in knowing that you're 723 meters from the site boundary, as an example. So this way you're able to sort of position that and understand. And when you generate site plans, it'll also give you the longitude and latitude. So now, so just to recap, we went quickly through the planning library and showed how that works, both from a high level. If you haven't drilled down, it'll show all the rules. If you drill down to a particular property, we'll show you the rules specific for that. We've shown you the data layers, so you can show and hide that, and as well as see the affected tab, so you can see the list. And there was that small improvement of understanding that it's tracking the longitude and latitude in the real world. So particularly home builders building on resi blocks or infill, or pool builders probably won't see the value in it. Pool builders potentially, especially if you're building on rural. But if you're building on large blocks of land, in particular, the longitude and latitude is how you guys track it. So we're now being able to show that. So you don't have to take that photo anymore and track the longitude and latitude by Google. You're able to see it here, and it'll generate on the site plans as well. So let's just jump quickly to the ever popular Hood Street address, which one day I'll have to send a hamper or something to whoever lives here. But in the meantime, so we're jumping in here. The other thing, and again, if I zoom up, the same thing will happen. Now, the other thing that I wanted to very quickly point out is the new feature of anchoring. Now, this has been definitely requested a lot by clients. Now, so say for example here, and maybe I'll change the design to the one with the garage, because this is the reason why we did this feature. So let me just delete the structure. And let me add a one with a garage. So what we're showing today is basically the ability to add a new measurement. So when you click on this design, Canibuild already adds in automatically those measurements of the side, front, and rear boundary lines. So there's nothing new here. So as soon as I drop this in, you're able to see that 9.99, which is great, right? So it helps you position the build. It'll help you do what you have to do. It'll give you the side, front boundary lines. You can edit that. So 10 meters or whatever it might be. But for instance, if you want to know what the distance is from the garage to the front, because you want to make sure it's 5.5 meters or whatever the rule happens to be, you'd want to be able to track other items. So say, for example, you'd want to get the distance between this dining side wall and the boundary, not just the garage, because the garage might be 0. You don't care about that one. You care about another one. So to do that, on the right-hand side, there's a measuring tool called the ruler. So let's just say we click on that. We click on the garage and we click on the boundary. It'll show 11.2. So we've got the measurement. Whoop-de-doo, you might be thinking. But the nice thing is if you move this, it's dynamic. So we now have additional dynamic measurement tools, so you can start seeing how that is interplaying as you move the build around, which I think is awesome. And in regards to those clients have been requesting this for a while, I apologize, it's taken us longer than we would have liked to produce this, but we got there, and now we've got the ability to do this. So just to reinforce the point, I can click the measuring tool again, click on that and see 1.96, and then we're moving, and now we've got 2 dynamically measured distances, which again, I think is awesome, but I'm biased. On top of that, you can do that as well as, say, for example, we measure out something. So say this was a pool, or this was a concrete padded area, or whatever it might be the case. You can do that measuring tool to 2 objects that you might be moving independently of each other. So if I click on that rule and click on the alfresco, and say this rectangle that will represent a pool or a concrete pad or whatever might be the case, if I grab that and move that around, it'll adjust as with the build itself. So again, I think that's really cool. So you're now able to start adding specific measurements that you want to be able to see. Now, so you can use this in any number of ways, but the main ways that's been raised to us has been, we need to know exactly the garage or the indented side boundary line, or the distance to a pool. And then if you move the pool, you don't want to have to like recheck and see what the measurement is. So I'm hoping that this provides a lot more functionality and more practicality in terms of being able to get distances easily and quickly. So to make that work, again, you just click the ruler on the right-hand side, you click on the object you want to tag to. If you tag an object, say, for instance, you tag this point and you randomly click there, basically, you're just going to be anchoring to whatever that point is. If that point is something that can also move in itself, the system's smart enough to independently track both movements, which I think is incredibly cool. If you accidentally click the measurement or you no longer need that measurement, you can just click on the measurement. You'll see a little bin that pops up, and you click the bin and you delete that measurement. Alternatively, and this brings us to the next point that I want to sort of raise, you've got now the ability to show hide certain elements. So Again, a lot of our clients have been asking us, can you please remove the shaded area for the setbacks? Well, sometimes it's obscuring what we want to see underneath. So on the right-hand side, there's a little eyeball. If you click on the eyeball, this gives you the ability to show and hide quite a few details. So let's just add an annotation as an example. Blah. So I've got an annotation. On the right-hand side, when you click on this eyeball, if I deselect the annotations, it will hide the annotations. And the blue measurements, so the setbacks, it will hide those. The setback in its entirety, the shaded area. So if you're generating a site plan or taking a screen grab, you might just want to be able to hide certain aspects, or say the drawing lengths on the actual rectangle. So say, for instance, we drew that as a turfed area. You might not actually care that the turfed area is 3.65 by 6.63 by 3.93, etc. You just go, look, I don't need to see that. I just want to be able to see that a rectangle is there. And say, for example, I want to just showcase that that's going to be exposed aggregate. On the right-hand side, you can just go, look, take away the drawing lengths. I might not even want the area, so I'll hide the area. I might not want to see the measurements, or I just want the measurements. I don't want the blue measurements, and I want to be able to showcase in this view. Or I want to show the aerial, but I don't want to show it as sort of strongly as it was. So you've got this little sidebar at the bottom to be able to drag that across. And now it's showing you the elements that you want to see. So again, I think that's really cool. That's able to do that and be able to show exactly the elements that you want to show and no more. If you want to show them again, you just go back and you can just select all of those and then showcase how that's going to be looking. So I think that's pretty cool and brings in some practicality in terms of the site plans you want to generate and so on. So here, now the other things that we've been sort of working on, and this is all in combination of trying to make it easier and just a little bit better to present information to the clients, because we've tried to be clever and tried to make sure that the things we auto show is what you want to show, so it saves you on a few clicks, because that's what Canibuild tries to do. The last thing we want to do is have you guys sit in front of a client, start working things out and starting to draw things too much. So we try to do that as automatically as possible. So in that vein, if we generate site plans, for example, now, a lot of our clients wanted to get some more clarity in terms of the road name and a few more bits and pieces, because they're using our site plans that are generated to submit directly to council. So if I go to services, again, services, and these services are starting to become quite a lot of services that we provide. So please remember that you've got your search address bar here, and then you can click on site plan and just quickly get to that as well. You don't have to sort of scroll down and sort of find it. There's ways of making it a little bit easier. Just so you also know, if you do see things like this, where it's getting more expanded, that's because we're introducing the ability to show your package services. So a lot of our clients are packaging. We want X, Y, and Z as part of our starter pack, rather than selecting X, Y, and Z individually, and then you can order things in bulk. And the reason, again, that people do that is, for instance, if I click architectural plans and click order, the payment gateway will pop up in order to sort of add those credit card details. So rather than adding them individually, it'll require a client. So let's invoice Jim Harris, and then the payment gateway will pop up, and then you're able to do that. So, but the more important thing for this session is the site plan itself. So let's just go site plan, click reorder, and click order to that. Go checkout. And it's asking me for the payment for that other one. But here we've got site plan. It's been generating. I don't want to sort of charge Jim, so let's just ignore that. So let's just go back. And now in a few moments, this site plan will finish generating, and we'll see how that looks. I can download the one that I've done previously, just to show how that's looking. I think the previous one was for a pool, so let me just get that one. Okay, the new one's ready anyway, so let me just click download. And as that's downloading, I'll quickly jump to a few other bits and pieces that I want to showcase. And I think it's because I've ordered the other one, which is just waiting for. So just give me one tick. All right, so let me just go to my documents. I click on site plan, click download. All right, so that's opening up now. All righty, so here, hopefully we can see that tab. Let me just double. Yep, I'm sharing the right page. So this is the one that we've just done and we downloaded. So, and shout out to Windcrest. So we've got site calculations on the left, but on the right, we've got Hood Street now clearly marked. So that's clearer. We're also doing a few niceties like this proposed house and the size. And so on the first screen grab, it's showing you the actual siting, the actual context. And then the second page will be a zoomed in view of the actual floor plan itself. Now, the nice things about this is if we go to a larger site, which I'll do next, it'll show longitude and latitude as well. So let's just jump to one of those addresses and see how the site plan looks. Because again, this was things that were really frustrating our clients that had large blocks of land in them, and we do genuinely apologize for that. So let me just jump to a larger block of land. I think I can maybe just jump to that previous one. So let's just generate this site plan and docs. I've done one previous, so I can maybe save ourselves a few moments of. So here, the nice thing is when we zoom into the actual view itself, and notice that the layers also come up if I had left them on. So if I zoom in, it's smart enough to give you some longitude and latitude anchor points. So you're able to see where that is on this larger block of land. So the whole idea being you've got information that's relevant. Previous to this, it was really difficult to be able to see the context or the site because you saw these blue lines showing 700 meters left, 200 meters from the back boundary and 100 meters from the front, which is pretty pointless, especially if you're used to just building on acreage blocks of land. So now we've got the longitude and latitude. So when you do go to site or when the client wants to sort of see where the positioning is, you've got that information. So again, if there's any feedback or things that need to be improved on that, please let us know, because we do know that quite a few clients were asking for this longitude latitude ability. And notice that it's not kicking into that 78 Hood Street site, because that's probably a bit daft to show longitude and latitude for a block that's 20 meters wide and being able to see the positioning. That's when side setbacks make sense, 5 meters from here and 10 meters from there. So let me just jump back. So I hope I'm not going too fast for everyone. I'm just trying to cram in quite a lot of the points. So just to recap, we've talked about the planning library, which you can click on at this view or the drill down view. We've spoken about anchoring of measurements from the garage to the front boundary. We've also talked about a few niceties like zooming up and seeing the longitude and latitude and the placement of your plan. So let me just quickly jump to the next thing. So we just want to quickly talk about a little bit about house and land packaging. There's one particular client that we've been working with quite closely. You know who you are if you're logged in. I won't sort of out you by saying your name, but we do appreciate all the effort that you've put in to help us improve our house and land packaging tool. So let's just quickly show that. And even if you're a pool builder and you're on or garage and shed, and you might say, well, house and land packaging doesn't help me. It's still important just to see what the builders are doing, because we have a lot of pool clients that are now trying to partner up with builders through Canibuild, so a pool builder can maybe advertise their pool or have a referral or something like that. So I'll try not to dwell on this too much. So let me just jump to an address. All right. So we're back to this address. So very quickly, I just want to showcase how to save a house and land packaging. And I'll be brief because there's been other YouTube sessions that we've touched on this. But since we've updated this so much, I thought it would be prudent to just touch on it. You can click on the filing cabinet on the top right-hand side. You'll be able to see this version. So say I wanted to save this as a house and land package, I could. So all I have to do is click those three little dots, click package deal. And what will happen is it'll showcase the attributes, which will preload those attributes. I can click internal features, external. So this is already setting up. If you've already got this information set up as part of your design, it'll already be pre-populated. So you can see here sizing, bathroom counts, etc. And then you can see the actual listing. So you can see the floor plan they'll be pushing through. So this is the intention is this is getting pushed out to realestate.com or domain. And then you'll be able to click, put in your video links, anything that might be relevant, your headline, your description. So as it's going to be presented on realestate.com or your own website, because we can funnel this through our Canibuild widget, which I'll touch on in a second. But before I do, say we save that. Then on the top right-hand side, you have my packages, and then you'll be able to see those packages, and then you'll be able to publish that package and see how it's going to look. You can add any gallery images, click save and click publish, and it's at REA. It literally takes a minute. And then you've got this one view to be able to track everything where it's at. And again, a lot of these improvements are on the back of feedback from clients, and one client in particular, we're incredibly sort of grateful for the amount of time and effort they've put in to make sure that it's bang on exactly what's needed. And then at the top, you can see the property details as well, which is that previous slide, and see the listing and adjust. And then you just click publish and you're done. Now, one thing, you can publish to realestate.com or any of the other portals. But more importantly than that, you've also got the ability to have a lightweight version of Canibuild on your website. Now, this works for houses or pools, etc. And I'll touch on that. So if I click on our test widget, what I'm doing now is this is our company website. So basically, our company website, so our actual live website. And we've just embedded this on the website to show how it'll look on your own website. So what you're seeing here can be genuinely just plugged into your website. So let's just look at it from the perspective of a home builder. On the left-hand side, it's showcasing all those estates that you saved and published. So they'll come up here as well. You can also click on the estates and start drilling down. So the intention of this widget is for your end consumer, your end clients from your website, start acting as a lead gen. So this is leaps and bounds in terms of an improvement. If anyone's looked at the widget 6 months ago, or even 1 month ago, this has dramatically changed. And again, we send our thanks to those clients that helped us work really to improve this. So let's just say we clicked on a particular address or these dots. So these red dots that you're seeing are basically house and land packages that save. The green ones are estates. And then you can click on one of those house and land packages and it will drill down to show that package. So it's that simple. On the left-hand side, it'll provide the details of that package, so external features, etc., etc. And it'll also give you a contact form so the end consumer can start automatically corresponding with that sales consultant. And it's that simple. So it's meant to engage and basically drive sales. So that end consumer can see how that house and land package looks within that estate, as an example, and then see that house and get a good view as to what that's going to look like. And then you, from a lead gen perspective, you're able to see what addresses are being looked up, what house and land packages are being selected, and so on. If you're a pool builder, you won't have house and land packages. What you'll have is your floor plan. So in the same way as home builders, you can also pick on any random block of land and then showcase your designs and let the clients put in those designs on that particular block of land. And it works exactly the same way. You now have, as a lead gen, that client's details, as well as the address they're looking up and which design they're placing on the site. And then one of your sales consultants can call and say, look, I can see that you're looking at the Symphony pool. Great choice. How can we help you carry on that sort of process? And is there anything you need? So it's meant to be that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week sales consultant that's sitting on your website. And again, a lot of our US clients have requested and pushed for this, especially one of our major clients that are looking to sell their builds across the globe, is the ability to showcase their build or your build in 3D. So you're able to still showcase this in 3D, which I'm doing now, and then basically shows that build. You've got your inquiry button at the bottom, which is still driving that contact. And then you're able to showcase that site in 3D and see how that's going to look. If you have a full 3D render of this site, and even if you don't, we can help you in that regards. You can show the actual model of this build rather than the extrusion. But even if you don't have models, you can still showcase it in this way and start being really engaging in terms of how you sell your house and land packaging, or your pools, or your prefab modular constructions, so on and so forth. So again, this is within your own website, and this will plug directly into your CRM, and you've got the ability to do that. For those of you that have looked at this in the past, I hope you can sort of see and appreciate the dramatic change. It's night and day in terms of that change, and it's a lot more user-friendly and it's a lot more responsive. So even if I try to shrink this page, for example, and let me just share that page in isolation. So here, the nice thing is if I sort of shrink that page, it's completely responsive. So it doesn't matter what size, it works and fits, and it's looking a lot better than it used to. So, and again, that's thanks to a lot of the feedback we've been getting from our clients. So again, if someone's interested in the widget or the house and land packaging, or how you can have essentially a 24/7 salesperson sitting on your website getting in leads, because going into the future, leads is going to be, again, a lot more important than it has been in the last couple of years when they were flooding in. This gives you the ability to do that without that sort of cost overlay or impact. So if you're thinking about how to better present your house and land packaging, or better present your designs, or better have an ability for clients to basically self-sell to themselves a little bit better, this will be an option for yourselves. So let me quickly reshare my other screen and go back here. So let me just quickly go through and just recap. All right. So to recap, planning library, data layers, the measuring tool, specifically the ability to anchor from one object to another, house and land packaging. Our site plans now being generated is now 1,000 times better for those of you that are building on larger blocks of land, and now have the ability to submit directly into council. Our packages, so you're able to even package services in those items and then show those, which is that services where you package more than one item. It starts grouping. Now, one thing that I did want to, and then also the longitude and latitude as well. Now, one thing that's just come on recently is if you're in Victoria and you're using the platform, definitely give me a shout out now if you are. We've just released trees in Victoria. So what I mean by that is, you may have noticed in previous demos, I'm always showing 78 Hood Street and you can see those trees. Now you're able to see all the trees in the entire state of Victoria, which is really exciting. And if you speak to Jim, who works for us, and one of our key team members, I think he's more excited than most. So I didn't think it would be possible to get that excited about trees, but here I am in Victoria. You can see now you can hover over every single tree and see what the height is. So any block of land that you pick in Victoria is now showcasing those trees, which is critical if you're trying to build in the backyard of a house, et cetera, to see whether or not it's possible. So let's say we click on this block of land here. and I'm just randomly picking. So you can see those trees, you can hover over and see it's 4.6, 3.3, 3.6, 5.8, and see whether or not you're able to cut those trees, or you'll need an arborist, or you can avoid those trees, and you get a good picture of what's possible and what's not. If we go on angle, you can see there that the heights are correct. So from memory, it was ranging between 3 and 4 meters. So you can see the height of the house, it's around parallel to the roof ridge. And then hopefully that gives you comfort that it's pretty good. Like, again, it's game changing in the ability to be able to very quickly see what the issues on that site's going to be, or already start telling the client about, you might want to sort of think about seeking the advice of an arborist to see if you can remove the tree, or we have to take that into account. So particularly for granny flat builders or modular or prefab that's building in the back of houses, this is incredibly important. And as well as architects, just to be able to potentially save yourself a trip. You don't need to actually go there and measure out where that tree is, where the trunk is, how close are you to that tree, because you can use that measuring tool that I was talking about. So anchor it to the house, anchor it to the center of the tree, and move it around and see if you're coming within 3 meters of the trunk, or 4 or 5, or within the canopy width. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, so you can see how Jim's incredibly excited about trees. Probably for the next couple of days, if you see Jim, is probably out there hugging a tree or two. So look, the main takeaway here is we've got the entire state of Victoria. Apologies again for any of our clients that's been waiting for that, because they saw we had it in New South Wales, but now we're covering both areas, which is, I think, pretty cool. So again, if I jump to the next few bullet points that we've got, the other thing that I wanted to sort of touch on is I've already touched on the eyeball. The other important thing, which may have been missed, and let me quickly go back to my 78 Hood Street. You are able now to actually add your own text to the site. So rather than just relying on annotations, because a lot of people said, look, I just want to be able to write some text. I don't want an annotation that shows within the site plan as an annotation. So if you click this measure tool, not the measure tool, the draw tool, sorry. So you can see line, curves, circles, etc. You might notice here a little T. If you click on that T, you're now able to draw a box and start type in anything you like. And you can drag that around. So this could be like DP for down pipe, or this could be avoid this, or a text that you need, or like drop off point here, or site access here, or whatever might be the case. The good thing is you just double click. It's smart enough to know if you adjust it, it'll reduce the text size, so you can start putting it anything like that and start moving it around. If you need to delete it, there's a little bin at the bottom, you can click delete. So again, this is important because you might just want to be able to just add that simple text, which a lot of clients have been asking for, as opposed to, say, an annotation. So the previous to this, you'll have to type in, for instance, here, comment goes here. And when you generate the site plan, it'll have number 2 and a reference, but you might just want to be able to say something a little bit more direct, and you don't want to sort of have that. And then you just might want to go over this shed and go demo, and then say it's demo. If that's too big, you just shrink the box. And then sort of go from there, and then be able to say, okay, well, that's good enough, right? So it's up to you how you use the tool, but I thought I'll raise that because, again, it introduces a bit of practicality. The other things that, and I did warn at the start, there was a few things I was trying to fit in. So the other things that I want to sort of touch on is the text, which I just did. The other thing while I'm here, and those clients that are using 3D or those that aren't, I'll quickly showcase our 3D functionality, but more specifically our ability to auto-generate retaining walls. So this applies for swimming pools or houses or sheds or whatever might be the case. So I've clicked on 3D. If I zoom in like this, we can see that that design, which is essentially level on the ground. If I click on it and I send that down a bit, it's trying to cut at 45 degrees. So you can see here on the side, especially if I go to the, I'll make it a little bit clearer. Sorry, I accidentally clicked back to 2D. Let me just go back to 3D. Let me just, what I wanted to click was that button. So here, if I grab on that design and I send it down, what it's trying to do is automatically calculate the cut. Notice that the costings are at the bottom. So that's in itself a game changer. It's smart enough to try to cut at a 45-degree batter so you avoid any side costs. But where you can't, like the sides, so your side walls, using American terminology, or just retaining walls for Australian, it'll auto-generate that retaining wall. So, and at the bottom, it will actually show you the retaining wall length and area. You can actually apply your costings to the length or the area. So as you move that up and down, it's actually changing the cost based on those quantums. So here, it's basically saying there's 50 linear meters of retaining wall and 78 square meters of retaining wall. So if you've got a square meter cost for retaining or linear, so say it's $380 a linear meter retaining walls, that mental pricing is a few years old now, so that's probably about 10,000 given prices is going through the roof. You're now able to see that and sort of showcase to a client. So it's doing the retaining walls on both sides, which I think is pretty cool. So again, I thought I'll just quickly touch on the 3D, both in terms of visually it's compelling, but more important than that, it's actually showing retaining walls now. So those of you that are building in, like in the United States, tract home builders, or in Australia, you're building developments or within greenfield estates and you're trying to see, or infill, you're now able to place the build, visually show the build, check the compliance in terms of the setbacks, but also move it around, do the costing for the site cost, move it up and down. And the same applies for pools. So let me just quickly show that, because sometimes I'm very home centric and I don't want to be, because almost half our clients are pool clients, so I do not want to make anyone feel that I'm just. So let's just add a pool. Let me just filter by pools. And let's just click on a pool. Say this guy here. And let's say keep. All I've done here is add a multiple item. So we've got the house as well as the pool itself. So this pool is ginormous. So here, and then in the same way, and actually I'll probably take advantage now to show, if anyone used the site the site elevation tool, so on the right hand side, this is giving you those drop edges on all four corners. So what I did is on the right hand side, just below the magnet, I clicked on this structure elevation. It's actually showing you what the fall of the land is over the proposed build. So here you can see the green at 0, that's showing you the highest point, and 250 mil, 1 meter, half a meter. So it's showing you those four corners. Again, let's just use the eyeball to remove the blue measurements, and let's remove a few of the other items. So I think that's pretty cool. So now we can see, and that's the whole idea. So now we can see those measurements. You also see the FFL in the center. So you can use this, pretend if it's a house, you can do for clearance, for flood clearance, and sort of raise that, and you can see the impact it's having for the four corners. Now, I've already received some feedback on this, so this might be something that we need to sort of look into a little bit more, and some people are liking how we used to do it. So we're going to be working with everyone. So if anyone's got feedback on that, feel free to let me know. And then again, in exactly the same way as with a house, you're able to then go in 3D mode and see the pool, and it works exactly the same way. So I'll let that load in. And then we're able to show that and see what the cut's going to be, etc., etc. So again, I think that's pretty cool. The other cool thing about it is if I raise it, you can actually affect the transparency. So you can actually see the pool in there. And then if you wanted to, you can hide that and show exactly how it's going to look in terms of the drop edge. On top of that, you can actually, if you've got an actual model of the pool, we can load that in as well. So I think that's really, really cool. But I'm a little bit biased. And I hope you can see, and especially those long-term clients of ours, the 3D functionality has improved leaps and bounds in terms of the performance. I'm just running off Wi-Fi. Like my setup is just a normal laptop. My entire team is trying to convince me to get like a beast of a laptop, just so everything runs super smooth. But I force myself to run off the same tech and hardware that you guys will be using. So I'm on a standard ThinkPad X1, which, believe me, the video card on this sucks. It still works well. The performance is good. I'm on Wi-Fi, so it basically reflects exactly how it should be working for you guys out in the real world. So let me jump back. Now, the other things that I wanted to sort of touch on, and I do apologize with how much I'm trying to sort of cram in. Let me just go through my little post-it notes to make sure I'm not missing anything critical. One of the things I did want to sort of touch on was the analytics tool. So again, quite a few companies, admittedly, some of the larger companies are more interested in this tool than the smaller, but it does cater for all. Is on the top, you can see this analytics usage. This is a paid update to the system. If you click on the analytics usage, it'll basically showcase all the searches that you've done and basically give you a deep, rich sort of data analysis as to what your team is doing. So here you can see at the bottom, it's filtered by December. So as of today, this is running off our demo. So you can see that we've already done quite a few demos. If I click on November to make it a little bit more exciting, it will take a little bit longer to load in this data. So this will just be a couple of seconds. And when it does, we're able to see things like where those searches are being done. So what properties have you looked at? What designs have been being placed on it? Who has been looking up those properties? Which sales consultant? So a lot of our clients use this as the starting point of sales meetings to say, well, what did we do last week? Because you can filter by months or days or weeks, so you can highlight last 7 days and see what's happened. So say, for example, in Australia, if I zoom in, so this shows the groupings where we're doing the number of searches. So this is currently running off Canibuild's data. So the searches that we're doing, which is basically demos. So for example, 78 Hood Street will pop up here. And then you're able to use this. So the many ways that this can be used is from a sales management perspective. So on the left-hand side, you can click on what's the most popular council. So if I click on that little tab, it'll drill down to the council. If I click on Blacktown, it'll filter down to Blacktown. If I pick on the sales consultant, I can do that as well. So let me just go back and see who's the best performing sales consultant. So right now it's Mr. Canibuild Sales, which is our generic account, but then underneath that is Priya and Niven. So you can see the names there. So I can just click on one and see what that person's doing or not. And then you can start adding multiple people and see. So you can see that's bringing in the US searches that we've done. So again, and then if I go back, the other thing that you're able to do is which is the most popular design. So this can leverage which designs you need to sort of maybe look into to make it more cost effective because they're being used a lot, or which ones aren't being used and maybe remove them from your design set. So here in popular designs, you can very quickly see for the month of November, which designs have been picked most. So in this case, this 3-bedroom, 2 garage, and that's probably because of me, because I hit that one pretty hard on 78 Good Street. So again, if I go back, we'll be able to see who is using that the most. So if I click on the salesperson, oh, it's not even me, that one. So the number one is Pavitra that's using that, and you can see Gianni. So you can see that's a popular design that they happen to choose. So once you click on something, it automatically adds that to the filter. So when you click all the other items, you can check that. So in summary, you can see what people have ordered, site plans, etc. You can see who's the best performing consultant. You can see which is the most active council. So this can drive marketing and digital and paid advertising, etc. So you can stop wasting money and start being a lot more focused. If you click on deals, you can see the deals and then jump to that deal. So if I did click on one, you can jump directly to that and see what's happening on that address. So here I've just clicked on, and I clicked on one which is in the US, which is not going to let me sort of get there. So maybe I should have been a little bit smarter and clicked one that's not US. And then you can see, go from that standpoint. But the one thing I did want to sort of quickly show while I'm here. So let me just reload that November data. You're able to showcase the data in the way we've done here, which is clustered. But a little bit more useful might be to click on the map view and change this to dots. So now you can see each of the individual searches. It's color coded by sales consultant. If you hover over one, you can view that particular deal. So it's really sort of intuitive. And again, it's meant for the sales managers to see what's going on. Let me see what's happening in Blacktown, by who, and let me see this guy's deals or that, or whatever might be the case. And then you've also got your heat map as well. So again, digital marketers can use this to see where the action is, where there's lack of action, what needs to be promoted a little bit more, etc., etc. And you can start sort of making some more informed decisions. So that's in terms of analytics. Given that we've only got a few minutes left, I'm really keen to see if anyone's got any questions with what I've shown, or any general feedback, or any requests, or any suggestions, or any other issues that people might be having that you want to sort of take advantage of, and answer those now. So I'm keen to see if there's any feedback at all that I could help with. Or just general feelings in terms of how things are going with Canibuild, or if we're responding correctly, or doing anything, or being able to sort of service exactly your requirements. So, because genuinely our prioritization model in Canibuild is to prioritize what you guys need, as opposed to thinking that we know it all, which we don't. So all the features that we went through today has been off genuine responses. So the planning library from our town planner certifier, even our builders, was I saying bushfire, what bushfire, how, where. So that helps with those questions. The data layer also helps with those questions. The anchoring was requested a lot, to be able to just quickly see the garage or your own distance. You don't, the blue measurements are great, but let's add a few other ones. And then with the house and land packaging and the widget, again, I send tremendous thanks to that one company that's tangible in size, that's provided a lot of feedback and a lot of patience with us as we've improved. But the benefit is it's a much better offering for everyone. So aside from that, more importantly, over the next couple of days, let's just hope that Australia beats the next one. It's going to be a little bit tougher, but I'm sure we can do it in the soccer, that is. And again, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to reach out to support@canibuild.com, or I'll stick around for a couple of moments if anyone's got any questions. But aside from that, like always, thanks for your time. Really appreciate everyone jumping on each month. I'm always surprised, and we'll be maybe not back the next month on Thursday. I have to double check on how that plays out. So we're on the first Thursday of every month, so that's for December, and then the next one would be on the 5th of January. So might still do that one because our US clients start early, which always surprises me. So it might be a more US centric session. So that's, I think, on the 5th of next month, but we'll be here every month on the first Thursday at 11 o'clock. So thank you everyone for joining in. Unless anyone had any questions, thank you for your time, and hope to see you next month. And between then, please try to have a decent break, enjoy your time, keep safe, keep smiling, and fingers crossed the world gets a little bit easier, especially for construction, because it's been a tough couple of years. Even the good times were hard times. So now it's a little bit harder, and hopefully Canibuild makes that sort of pain a little bit less. So feel free to reach out, and in the meantime, enjoy your break, enjoy your time, and thanks again for joining in. Bye all. Seems like everyone's a bit shy, so I'll check out. Take care, everyone.